hours before kick-off, Roy Hodgson got out of his car in the car park between Selhurst Park and Sainsbury's and greeted the well-wishers who crowded around. He pressed the flesh and posed for selfies in his dark suit before a security guard let him into the stadium. He knows the club, one supporter said to no one in particular as he watched him go, reassuring himself that Hodgson's homecoming to the place he first came with his father, a Croydon bus driver, 64 years ago, would be a cure for the uncertainties visited upon this corner of South London by the doomed 77-day reign of Frank de Boer.A. A few minutes before the start, the newly anointed grand old man of English football marched out of the tunnel in front of the Holmesdale End, where he had stood on that first visit with his father, and acknowledged the applause of the crowd. Glad all over rang around the ground. "So glad you're mine," the Dave Clark 5 sang as Hodgson walked up the touchline, past the Palace cheerleaders in their white crop tops and their black leggings and their blue and red pom-poms, and onto the dugout. In those moments, it seemed there could be no better place for him to begin his rehabilitation after the humiliation of that defeat to Iceland in Nice during Euro 2016. He is England's best-travelled manager, but this is as close to home as it gets for Hodgson. Two hours later, a big baggy coat covered his suit, and his hair was flattened by rain as he walked back towards the tunnel. Cheers had turned to groans. The optimism that had greeted his appointment had been given a hefty kick by reality. Palace had just lost their fifth league game in succession. They have not won a single point, nor scored a single goal. After Bournemouth beat Brighton on Friday night, Palace are marooned in miserable isolation at the foot of the Premier League. And in Hodgson's next three league games in charge, Palace will face Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea. Wilfried Zaha, the club's star player, is still recovering from a knee injury. Mamadou Sakho, their leading defender, is not yet fit. All things considered, honeymoon periods aren't what they used to be. Palace had shipped 7 goals in their first 4 league games this season, which included humbling home defeats to Huddersfield Town and Swansea City. Within a few minutes of the start yesterday, Hodgson was given a first-hand demonstration of the reasons why. Dusan is one of Southampton's most talented players, but for some reason the Palace defence decided to give him the freedom of Selhurst Park for the entirety of the first half. Left-back Jeffrey Schlupp left Tadic in glorious isolation, as if he'd been told the Saints' wide man had a bug, and it was catching. Tadic did not need long to take advantage. Only 6 minutes had gone when he got the ball in space on the right. Schlupp closed him down eventually, but Tadic drifted past him, as if he wasn't there and crossed into the box. The ball flew across goal at catchable height, but Hennessy palmed it away into the path of Davis. Davis scuffed his right foot shot, but it wrong-footed Ward, who had got back to try to cover, and bobbled over the line into the corner. Palace failed to heed that warning. Tadic was Southampton's go-to guy for the first 45 minutes. The visitors fed him relentlessly, and Palace seemed powerless to reorganize or stifle the threat. Only a series of last-ditch clearances from Palace defenders stopped Tadic's promptings put Southampton further ahead. Palace did look better going forward and created plenty of chances of their own. Most of them were either made or attempted by Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who, reveling in regular first-team action at last after his sojourn at the margins at Chelsea, looked a class above his teammates. It was Loftus-Cheek who fashioned the first Palace chance for Benteke early in the half, crossing for Benteke, whose close-range shot was blocked by the body of Forster. And it was Loftus-Cheek who let the ball run after half an hour, then darted onto a return pass from Benteke and fired a low, phasing shot just wide. Just before halftime, Loftus-Cheek had a low shot blocked by Bertrand. Just after it, he accelerated to the byline and drilled in a cross that only needed a firm touch to deflect it in. Punchy did touch it, but it was a faint nick that merely succeeded in taking the ball away from Cabe, who was queuing behind him to try to grab the equalizer. Luck seemed to be against the home side, although luck is sometimes a cover for ineptitude. Punchy should have scored when Schlupp crossed into his path as he lurked unmarked on the edge of the 6-yard box, but he hit his shot straight at Forster, who saved well. When the goal did not come, Palace ran out of steam. Their attacks became more predictable, and laboured in Southampton's defence dealt with their forays forward with relative ease. Hodgson tried to inject new momentum into the performance by substituting the tiring Loftus-Cheek with Sakho 13 minutes from the end, a move that elicited a dull chorus of boos from the Holmesdale End. Palace could not force a decent chance before the final whistle blew, and when the end came, Hodgson turned to the Southampton boss Mauricio Pellegrino and offered his congratulations. It may yet be a long